Hey gang, it's JC, and this is the Daily Dose for Monday, September 12th, 2011, a combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. Great television archives, top of the page, eye candy, Sexually Speaking with Dr. Kathy Naughton from the Center for Sexual Health. New edition today. We update every Monday and Thursday on that particular feature. And our rock and roll poll question in the corner. I don't know about you, but I found a lot of the stuff that was being broadcast over the weekend very difficult to watch, and in some cases unwatchable. And there's just a point where you have to say, okay, enough. And it doesn't make you less patriotic, and it doesn't make you anything, really. It just means that everybody has sort of a different tolerance level or a different need, in some cases, for a rebroadcasting and a reliving a lot of the moments that we saw on 9/11 10 years ago. So our question was, how much of the coverage of 9/11 do you plan to take in this weekend? And a whopping 46% of you said little or none because you're totally 9/11'd out. Number one answer at 46%. Number two answer at 28%, I might watch some, but I find a lot of it very disturbing. And the third answer, quite a bit, I still find the video and stories very compelling. Number three answer at 25%. All right, we have a couple of additional 9/11 comments coming up here, but only a couple because I got up this morning and started punching around on the radio dial, and I just couldn't believe that people were still going at it with this. I just think that people reached their tolerance, and it's one of the reasons we value your results and your responses in the rock and roll poll, because it helps us be guided as to what we're going to do on the show, what we're going to talk about even here. And when you say, 46% of you, almost half say enough, I think that's saying something. And I pay attention to this stuff, and we do listen. All right, in the meantime, the Cardinals have bounced back a little bit, and now we're only 4.5 games out of the wild card. So our question here on Monday, the 12th of September, with 2 weeks left in the schedule, is, will they make up the remaining ground and still squeeze into the playoffs? Yes or no, A or B, however you want to look at it, and that is pretty much that. I'll get to the Rams here in just a couple of seconds. Is that wet? No, that's not wet. Okay. Going to be a hot one today. All right, we have a lot of the jokes from the Comedy Central roast of Charlie Sheen. They taped this thing over the weekend. Brooke Mueller showed up. Now, she had been invited and said no, and then she showed up anyhow. John Lovitz joked about Charlie's recent trip to Mexico with Brooke, and he said he banged her backside so hard 3 balloons of Coke fell out. Entertainment Weekly put together a list of the 8 meanest jokes. Here they are. Comedian Amy Schumer said, "You're just like Bruce Willis. You were big in the 80s, and now your old slot is being filled by Ashton Kutcher." Jeffrey Ross said, "Brooke Mueller is not very bright unless Charlie throws a lamp at her." Mike Tyson said, "Your opponent spent more time bleeding in the corner than Charlie's ex-wives," is what he said about Mike Tyson. Anthony Jeselnik, who is a comedian I'm not familiar with but had a pretty good line, said, "You dropped out of school faster than Casey Anthony's kid." Maybe not a pretty good line, let's just say a memorable line. How's that? Seth MacFarlane, who is the master of ceremonies. "Charlie, you claim to have tiger blood, but after all the porn stars you've had sex with, it's probably Tiger Woods' blood." And then Charlie's rebuttal. And one of the things, when you get up there, you get to take shots at the people who are roasting you. Now, what Kate Walsh was doing up there, I have no idea. But Charlie's turned to her and he said, "I don't know anybody who watches your show because I date women who can still get their period." Amy Schumer said, "You really effed me tonight," which is not. This is what he said to Amy Schumer. "You really effed me tonight, which is great because I'm into anonymous sex and nobody is more anonymous than you." And Charlie said about William Shatner, "I asked Shat to be here because I needed some clean urine. I had to wring it out of the diaper, but it did its job." Oh, man. Anyhow, that thing is going to air, not soon enough. It airs a week from tonight, which is also the same night that the big Ashton Kutcher extravaganza kicks off, so we'll see. Jermaine Jackson told a British newspaper that his family had a plan to sneak Michael out of the country if he had been convicted of child molestation back in 2005. They were going to fly him to Bahrain, which doesn't have an extradition treaty with the United States. Cyndi Lauper performed the national anthem at the U.S. Open in New York on Saturday and blew the words. She said, "Or the ramparts we watched as our flag was still streaming," instead of, "or the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming." And then at one point it sounded like she sort of said gave poop through the night as opposed to gave Never mind. The Rams' new fight song ought to be the theme from MASH. 3 number 1 draft picks injured in yesterday's game. First half was sort of exciting. They completely came apart in the second half. I have said that there is a possibility that the Rams could start this season 0-6. I got shouted down by some of the guys on the All Sports station, including Randy Carricker. Randy, love you, but I still think I could be right here. Take a look at the schedule. Tell me who they're going to beat, particularly now with the injuries. A lot of commercials yesterday for really, really bad movies. This is a traditional dumping ground for movies by the Hollywood studios. They put a lot of crap in here in September and October, and then in November, December, and January, it's whole hog as they get ready for, putting out the best movies of the year for all the Oscar consideration and everything like that. I'll expound on this at some point down the line, but any movie that is being recommended by Jeff Craig from a thing called 60 Second Preview, Sean Edwards, a guy, entertainment reporter out of Kansas City, and Mark S. Allen, a guy out of Sacramento. Anybody who is, any movie that is being recommended by either of those three guys, go in the other direction. I'll explain later, but the term, quote, horror comes into play. I'll go into great detail on that somewhere down the line. All right, new documentary claims George Harrison had hundreds of affairs, and he had a heavy flirtation with Madonna while he was producing Shanghai Surprise with, that was a movie she did with Sean Penn, who she was married to at the time. On Friday night, an offshoot of the hacker group Anonymous hacked into the official NBC News Twitter account, posted a fake alert about a terrorist attack at Ground Zero. It's just amazing how people made this into entertainment and just messed with this, And it turns out now that only 20 states have educational standards that specifically require their public school teachers to include the 9/11 attacks in their curriculum, which is amazing. Only 20 states. Only 4 state standards mention bin Laden or Al-Qaeda, and only one mentions the president of the United States at the time, George W. Bush. There's a startling lack of detail about what actually happened in the curriculum of most state schools. Sign of the times, IKEA, the big manufacturer of furniture, sort of, I don't know if we call it cheap. It's very trendy. It's not really long-lasting stuff, but I'd stop short of saying cheap, but very, highly stylized, and you put it together yourself most of the time. No one's using bookcases anymore, so they're getting rid of their classic bookcase designs. People use shelves for ornaments and tchotchkes and stuff like that. Maybe an old style, old school coffee table book, but because so few people are actually buying books now, there go the bookcases as the world continues to change. New study says your education has 5 times the impact on your future earnings as anything else. That's, of course, unless you have an enormous keister and 2 sisters who are willing to wax each other's naughty parts on national TV. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary added the words tweet, bromance, and fist bump to its latest dictionary to make room and eliminated words no one uses anymore, like dictionary. Ugh. A website called 24/7 Wall Street crunched some data and came up with a list of the 8 beers Americans no longer drink. Listen to these stats. Budweiser down 30%. Milwaukee's Best Light down 34%. Miller Genuine Draft down 51%. By the way, it's Monday. I can't talk. I'm having a hell of a time here today. Old Milwaukee down 52%. Milwaukee's Best down 53%. Bud Select down 60%. Michelob Light down 68%. And Michelob down 72%. People going for these microbrewed craft beers instead of the old standards. All right. John Travolta married Kelly Preston. I better clear this up by noon today. I'm telling you, I can't speak. This was a long weekend for some reason. Maybe it was the fact that we only worked 4 days because we had a holiday, and then you have a weekend again, and then you come back on Monday, and it's like, blah, 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 blah. John Travolta married Kelly Preston. Today is their 20th anniversary. Johnny Cash died on this date in 2003 at the age of 71, complications from diabetes. All right, JC's Eye Candy today. You know who Governor Chris Christie is in New Jersey? They say that he's 300-something in terms of poundage, or maybe tonnage should be the word. There is a startling profile of him that I printed today, and it does bring up some very interesting questions about who we elect. We don't, we don't vote for fat people and bald guys and stuff like that. So the question would be, even if Chris Christie's politics was sort of in the right neighborhood for a lot of people, would it mean anything? Would be enough to overcome his weight? Because he is a porker. Take a look at that picture. We're going to make that a future topic and maybe a future rock and roll poll question somewhere down the line. On this, the 12th day of September 2011, there are officially 10 days remaining in summer. All right, answer our rock and roll poll question. And that is, do you think the Cardinals still have a chance of eking this out, winning that wild card? Please answer in the corner. We'll have results for you tomorrow. That's it. JC's Daily Dose for Monday, September 12th, 2011, a combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. I got all of that out without... In the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.